Let me ask you a question you might not have said out loud yet. Why does it feel like you attract the same kind of people again and again? Different faces, same story, different names, same ending. At some point you start wondering, is something wrong with me? But the truth is actually a lot more interesting and way less depressing. Let me tell you a story. A friend once told me he could predict exactly how his relationships would go. He'd meet someone, feel an instant spark, think, this is different. And then 2 months later he'd say, I don't know why this keeps happening to me. Same cycle, different person. Until one day a therapist told him something that changed everything. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you're familiar with. That line hit him like a truck. See, psychology teaches us about repetition, compulsion, the idea that your mind unconsciously recreates the emotional environment you grew up with. Because your brain is addicted to what it understands. It doesn't matter if that environment was loving or chaotic. It just has to be familiar. So, if you grew up around people who were unavailable, unpredictable, or emotionally distant, your mind will feel drawn to people who give you that same energy. Not because it's good for you, but because it feels like home, even if home wasn't safe. And this is where philosophy comes in. Humans are creatures of pattern. We return to the same emotional landscapes because change, even positive change, feels dangerous. Think about it. Someone kind and stable might feel boring, while someone inconsistent might feel like chemistry. But that chemistry is often just your nervous system recognizing an old wound. Here's the important part though. Attraction isn't destiny. Awareness breaks the cycle. The moment you start asking, why does this feel familiar? Instead of why does this feel right? You begin to choose consciously, instead of repeating unconsciously. Let me give you a simple example. If you're used to chaos, peace feels uncomfortable. If you're used to chasing, being chosen feels suspicious. If you're used to being ignored, attention feels overwhelming. Say you push away what's good for you and cling to what hurts. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system learned love in the language of survival. But here's the good news. Patterns can be rewritten. It starts with slowing down your instant spark reactions and asking, what does this remind me of? Do I like this person, or do I just recognize this feeling? Is this connection healthy, or is it familiar pain, dressed as romance? And let me tell you something comforting, you're not cursed. You're not doomed to repeat the same relationships forever. You're simply operating on old emotional blueprints. And now, you finally see the map you've been following. Awareness is the first step. Choice is the second. Healing is what happens in between. 2. One day you'll meet someone who feels calm instead of chaotic, gentle instead of intense, consistent instead of confusing. And that quietness will feel strange at first, but, with time, it will feel like peace. And that will be the moment you realize you didn't attract better people. You became someone who knew they deserved them.